I'm Dr. Joseph Frager. I'm standing here at the Chazak Big event at Queens College with Assemblyman David Wepirn, good friend who's really run Queens probably for, well, at least the Wepirn family has run Queens for over 40 years, maybe longer. I wouldn't be surprised. Tonight, David, a lot of things are going on in the world. We're going to think about Israel for a minute and try to figure out how to stop the stabbings. It seems like every day we hear about another Israeli or potentially an American who happens to be in Israel stabbed randomly, just minding his own business or her own business. What would you do to stop all this, of course, in Israel, but also to prevent it from happening over here in New York?
Well, look, there's terrorist attacks all over the world now. I think the key is, to be aware of it, to do everything we can to stop terrorism, to go after terror wherever it raises its ugly head, and we can't just sit back and take everything for granted. It's almost, it started in Israel, but now obviously it's spread, 9/11 in New York City, and then now you hear about terrorist acts and suicide bombers each and every day, in other places in the world. And, obviously suicide bombers are more severe than individual stabbings, but, there's still terrorist attacks regardless. And we just have to do everything we can to be united, to stand together, and to try to root out the people behind the terrorist attacks.
What have you been doing at the state level to prevent BDS, the boycott, divestment, sanctions groups that seem to be putting a full court press against Israel? I know the state's been working, I know you've been working really very assiduously on this. So just tell us a little bit about.
Yeah, we've had legislation, but there's also been, in addition to BDS, there's been a lot of BDS supporters in this organization that's on the CUNY campuses called Justice for Palestine. And it's basically a BDS-backed group, but it's also an anti-Israel, anti-Jewish group, and they're actually, in some ways, verbally terrorizing Jewish students and pro-Israel students, making life very uncomfortable for them as college students. Assemblyman Hyken and myself authored a letter signed by about 35 of our colleagues, bipartisan, basically to urge Chancellor Milliken of City University to discontinue funding and to not consider them an official organization under the CUNY guise.
Are you willing to comment on there's a story in the Post today about this Muslim woman who has been causing a lot of trouble to the city council. Her name is Sarsour. Rory Lantzman has taken her on.
Oh, Linda Sarsour,
Linda Sarsour. Do you want to comment about your feelings about this situation? Because it seems to me an absurd situation. Someone who highlights the fact that a Arab boy in Israel is throwing rocks at windows of cars passing by or other individuals. It seems to me to make a hero out of that, even if it's a young kid, to make a hero is the wrong message to be sending to our youth in America and around the world.
Oh, absolutely. I actually had a potential opponent 2 years ago that Linda Sarsour was backing, and she was backing him to run against me. In the end, he ended up backing out because he couldn't get the support that he was looking for. He was a Muslim resident of my district, and she was actually pushing very hard, to have him run. In the end, he did not. But so I'm not a big fan of Linda Sarsour anyway, besides what she's doing in the council. But look, I think we have to tell the truth, and we have to get our message out there. And there are thousands of Linda Sarsours out there giving distorted views, giving one-sided views, and it's important that we tell the real story.
Thank you so much, David.